Mr. President, you indeed spoke like a badly wounded buffalo yesterday. You spoke like a given up soul. Nothing inspirational came from that tired speech yesterday. You didn't speak like a person who declined electoral support with 17% to less than 50%. How on earth do you repeat a Sona speech that made you lose elections? You were saying to South Africans yesterday, in so many ways, that you learned nothing out of these historic elections to an extent that you want to continue business as usual. We grew up being told that some of you were collaborators, but we gave you some benefits of the doubt. It was said in this house that you personally wrote a letter to the apartheid police accusing your fellow comrades of planting communist ideas in your head, and we refused to believe that story at that time. It now makes sense that despite the apartheid regime being so oppressive against all freedom fighters, you peacefully and uninterruptedly attended university, and you were given your first job by the ambassadors of apartheid, capitalism, and colonialism. Without a hassle, you bought yourself a first car and a house with the assistance of the Urban Foundation, which was anchored by the Ruperts and the Oppenheimers, while your comrades were sleeping under trees in exile and languishing in jails. We asked ourselves as to how did you form a union of mine workers without being a mine worker? Can't you know? You were the conveyor belt between the workers and the super exploitative mining capitalists in South Africa after the Oppenheimers and Anglo-American had concluded that the mine workers must be organized. Our elders in the struggle have made allegations before in this house that throughout the struggle against apartheid, you were insulated from any form of arrest and harassment by the apartheid system. Towards the end of apartheid, you shockingly placed yourself at the center of the negotiation for the end of apartheid. No one knows how you arrived to be at the center of the negotiations of our liberation. It now explains as to why so many compromises and capitulations were made, leading to a situation where economic power remained in the hands of the white minority. It now explains as to why so many compromises and capitulations were made, leading to a situation where economic power remained in the hands of the white minority, leaving black people with meaningless political power. We can today confirm that it was pure infiltration by forces of darkness. When it was clear President Mandela is not going to make you the first deputy president of the democratically elected South African government in 1994, you threw tantrums and even boycotted his inauguration. The same President Mandela you asked us to celebrate yesterday, you missed the historic moment to do so in 1994 because of personal aggrandizement. Like many people in South Africa, I stood here in this house and said we will give you the benefit of the doubt, believing that the allegations against you of being a collaborator might not be true. I will tell why I'm giving you this personal account. It is necessitated by your activities, actions, and decisions over the past weeks since the electoral defeat of the former liberation movement, which demonstrated clearly that in the battle against neo-apartheid and neo-colonialism, you chose the side of the oppressor like you did in the past, yet pretending to be with us, the oppressed people. Why will the apartheid beneficiaries say that among all black political leaders, you are the only one they can work with, to an extent that you are called a better black with a better accent, and you believe them over us? They call us criminals who must be arrested, whether we have committed any crime or not, because we disagree with them politically, and you believe them over us. Your own brothers and sisters who come from Shawela and Venda with you are today looked down because of you. You have committed to be a representative of the oppressor. The white capitalist establishment is willing to turn a blind eye to even serious allegations of wrongdoing against you, because through you, they believe that they will perpetuate the exploitation of the oppressed class and reverse the gains of the political freedom attained in 1994. It doesn't matter what you say, but we want to state categorically that the coalition between the Democratic Alliance and the Former Liberation Movement is a sellout position typical of collaborators who sacrifice and compromise the struggle against apartheid and colonialism. White minority arrogance has increased under your term of office. You should have seen them yesterday when you were speaking. It was like you are a true Tabaneka Koko Helen Zille. You boldly take these counter-revolutionary and reactionary decisions because you know you have a full protection of white capitalist establishment.
Now, I want to conclude on dealing with one issue which I think needs to be observed in our debates in Parliament. It's important, Honorable Malema, that as we debate, we should play the ball and not the man. Now, you spend a considerable amount of time playing me, the man. What is important in building this country is to play the ball of development. You spend a lot of time talking about how the National Union of Mine Workers was formed. I would like you to read some books. But more importantly, I would like you to spend time to talk to people like Gwede Mantashe, who was a miner, who was one of the first members of the National Union of Mine Workers. I would like you to speak to people like James Mutlatsi, who was the president of the National Union of Mine Workers. It's a pity that Elijah Bahai, a stalwart in our struggle in the African National Congress, has passed on. I would like you to speak to people like Salai Salai, who is in Lesotho. I'd like you to speak to people like Director Matlala. I'd like you to speak to many members of the NUM who on the 2nd of December 1982 got together in Klerksdorp to form the National Union of Mine Workers. And as they formed that union, they said, we are building a shield and a spear that is going to improve the lives of mine workers. And they did exactly that. And this Anglo-American that you quote suffered the greatest brunt of the actions of mine workers. 5 years later after formation, being the largest union in this country, they embarked on a 21-day strike and stopped the entire mining industry in this country. And you call that a sellout position. That was not. Speak to Mondli Gungubele, who was a member of the NUM. Speak to many others. So in doing what you do, play the ball. The question I would ask, Va was J?
Marikana.
Va was J? Where were you? Now, this is an important lesson. An important lesson.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Honorable members.
Marikana.
Honorable members, can you please be in order? Honorable members, I wish to remind you, those of you who are making noise Friday, you requested the presiding officers to protect each and every one of you. Can we please be magnanimous and do exactly that? If you have got a point of difference, a point of debate, you have an opportunity when you take the platform in the debates to do so. Can we please allow the President to finish his address?
Honorable Malema, nna le wena re na le go hwetša nako ya gore re dule fatshe re bolele. Ke nyaka gore re iphe nako mokgomana mošabi re ke re dule fatshe re bolele ka politiki gagolo politiki yane ya kgale e ke bonang gore a o e kwešišiše gabotse e ke bonang kare o na le wa itse wa fatlega ke nyaka gore re dule fatshe go etsetsa eng go etsetsa gore ha o ema mo o iphe nako ya gore o bolele ka seo se tlaisang ditaba tsa rena kwa pele. You know, o ile wa ema mo some 2 years ago wa roga papa wa ka wa re papa wa ka ne ile leponisa. And yes, I'm proud to have been the son of a policeman, a very good policeman. Ke boletse le nkgono wa hao, and nka se ke ka ema mo ka roga nkgono wa hao ka ba ne ke mo tlhompha le wena ke a go tlhompha. Ke bolela so ka obane go tshwanetse gore ha re le politiking re itehetse sa uri re thomphane re sumbedze uri re ne sine ra khozita di zwine zwa ḓo isa lushaka lwashu phanḓa. Hezwi zwe wa zwi amba hafha ndo wana uri a zwi ngo fara nne fhedzi hambi zwo fara na vhathu vhanzhi hambi. So kha ri dzule fhasi nne na iwe ri ambe zwavhuḓi nga uri holu lushaka ri nga lu fhaṱa hani. Ni helela kwala. Ndi a livhuwa. Thank you very much.
Yesterday, the president of the GNU spent a considerable time saying that our input and contribution during opening of parliament debate was playing the man and not playing the ball. The president wrongly said that we previously insulted him by saying that his father was a police officer during the dark days of apartheid, and that even when such is a fact, he is proud that his father was a law enforcement officer of apartheid laws. Let's put the facts right in front of this parliament. We never ever have made any reference to President's father in this parliament, and even if we did, it would have been a statement of fact and not insult. To say someone's parent is a nurse, it will never be used as an insult. To say someone else's parent is a police officer can never be used as an insult. I spoke about your father in order for you to drag my grandmother unfairly so, because my grandmother has got nothing to do with what I'm doing here. So I want to state it very clear that, President, we respect each other and will continue to engage each other robustly. Secondly, Parliament and political work in general is not for soft-skinned people who will use all languages to complain whenever we give fair but robust and direct characterization of their political conduct. Here we speak truth and nothing else but the truth. In our characterization of the ball which you spoke about here, which you said we must play, we will also characterize the players to have a fuller picture of both subjective and objective political and ideological conditions. You can never only play the ball without understanding the strengths and weaknesses of the player. We will also welcome, and this we did at a number of times, we welcomed and tolerated whosoever does that against us. When we get criticized by your side, even sometimes the political amateurs like Butima Namel, who come and attack us personally, we never respond to them. We never cry because we are not crybabies. We fight because we are fighters. Instead of crying, we fight. In politics, the individual's personal character is key to historical developments. Otherwise, why is there Nelson Mandela Day? The individual strength of Mandela is what we are drawn to reflect upon, learn from him as a leader, but more broadly as a human being. It is a fact that in light of the government of national unity, which originates from the white capitalist establishments, we needed to appreciate your own historical involvement with these white people. And a close attention to your personal political journey gives testament to the suspicion that this government was not actually created now. It came from long time ago because you were made a project long time ago. When we say you did not go to Robben Island when your peers went to Robben Island, how can that be an insult? When we say you wrote a letter and said they planted communist ideas in your head to the police, how can that be an insult? To tell the truth is the greatest respect we give to a sitting president. It is a constitutional requirement that
Honourable
you must be
Malema.
held accountable,
Honourable Malema,
scrutinized
could you please take your seat? There is a point
about
of
the
order.
decisions you make.
Please take your seat. There is a point of order. Honourable Dlakudi.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Honourable members, order. I cannot hear the speaker.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am standing on a point of order based on what the Honourable Malema said. Rule number 92. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Honourable Malema referred to the President as a project, meaning that the President is acting on behalf of other people. So that is unparliamentary and it cannot be accepted. Thank you.
Honourable members, I have listened to what the Honourable Malema has said, and I think that we do have to have robust debate, so I'm not going to sustain that point of order. Please proceed.
To tell you the truth is the greatest respect we give to a sitting president. It is a constitutional requirement that you must be held accountable, scrutinized about the decisions you make. Thirdly, we have read and will never argue with you when you say we must read more books about NUM. Reading is a very nice thing to do. There are many books that we have read in relation to the formation of NUM. And we want to state very clear here that you read and called names of individuals who formed the NUM, which we say it was a project of the Oppenheimers. These individuals are all flourishing, with you being a billionaire, yet the mine workers' conditions continue to be worse. How do you form a union to go and save the workers, but the people who formed the union themselves are the ones who are succeeding, yet the mine workers are struggling? Mine workers in South Africa constitute to be the most exploited section of the working class in South Africa. Mine workers continue to be the most underpaid workers in South Africa compared to the amount of wealth they extract from beneath our soil. Mine workers continue to stay in horrible conditions and informal settlement without water, roads, toilets, and without basic necessities. Mine workers continue to be the biggest victims of loan sharks, and with the biggest loan shark being Capitec. Mine workers continue to perish in occupational accidents. Solomon Nyerenda, Yvonne Mniz, and Priti Winnie Nkambule are still trapped inside a container in Lily Mine after the accident that happened in 2016, 8 years ago. Mine workers continue to live in communities defined by high levels of crime. When the mine workers protested for a minimum wage of 12,500 per month in Marikana 12 years ago. You, as a director and a shareholder of London Mine, you did not take the side of the workers. You called for concomitant action, and 34 workers were massacred by the ANC government in Marikana. If you formed the union for these workers, why is the conditions remaining the way they are? The union was formed to suppress those workers. The conditions of mine workers in South Africa is applicable to many other categories of workers in South Africa. A lot of workers in South Africa live in absolute poverty, and there is no hope that their condition will change under GANU. If the history and fiction that you tell about the NUM and mine workers is anything to believe, why are mine workers still trapped in the condition they find themselves in today? President, nalwena reatompana ibile rinda pleke ti nalwena refitari go each other's house reaka mautu. We don't need cabinet we don't need parliament to make an appointment. When we want to see each other, we have done so before. And I criticize you even when it is just the two of us. I'm not criticizing you here because I see these honorable members of parliament. We will continue to engage each other robustly. You asked me a question and said, where were you? It was biologically impossible for me to be there. So don't question me. Go and question my mother and my father why I was not there. But when the time came, I showed up. And when the time came, I never sold out. When the time came, I was never a collaborator. I came at an early age, and nothing will remove me. Attempts were there to silence me with the story of being disrespectful. I'm not disrespectful. I engage robustly. A ke rapeletse boroko ka o budulala. Nna a ke tshabe motho, ke tshaba maka, ke bolela nnete. Mmuso wa dinonyana o tlowa in less than 2 years. Auwe mmuso wa dinonyana, auwe!